Hi, I'm Margaret. Here's a new recipe for you. It has a crisp pastry base, a beautifully spicy apple filling and a lovely crunchy topping. It's my not your regular apple pie. Well, this pie came about from me not being able to decide which apple dessert to make. I like apple strudels, but I also love that topping that you get on a Dutch apple pie. So I decided to combine the pair and came up with this. I hope you like it. So first for the sweet crust pastry. You've seen me make this one before. The icing sugar gives it a lovely sweetness, which goes so well with desserts. Something worth remembering is that the consistency of your pastry depends on what size your egg is. If your egg's a little larger than your regular egg, then your pastry will be a little softer, and you'll have to adjust by using a little bit more flour. On the other hand, if your pastry's too dry, you could add a little milk. When you've covered it in cling film to stop it drying out, pop it into the fridge for about 30 minutes. This gives the butter in the pastry time to solidify a little, and you'll find that working with this pastry is a lot easier now. I always use lots of flour on the rolling pin, on the board, a little underneath, a little on top. All helps to stop it sticking. This is fast becoming my favourite way of lining a flan tin. When you fold it over and slip it back into the base, it doesn't seem to crumble as easily and break as you move it over. Another trick I've found which works quite well is getting a little piece of the extra pastry and using it to help push the pastry into the sides of the tin. This helps to stop your fingers or nails making holes or marks in the pastry. There we go, ready for the oven. It will be quite pale when it comes out. Remember, it's not fully cooked yet. Now for the strudel filling. Oops, don't want any pips in there. Use as many raisins as you like. I've used about 30 large ones here. Not that I've counted them. Just a sprinkling of sugar on top. You don't want too much. These are eating apples, and they're quite sweet anyway. Give it a really good mix. You don't want clumps of one thing in one place in the pie. We want a nice even mixture. When I'm using ingredients in a pie with any kind of moisture at all, I always put a little bit of egg yolk onto the base of the pastry. This acts as a barrier and helps to keep your pastry nice and crisp. Let's pile in the strudel mixture. There's plenty of it, but I want to make sure it all goes in, so pile it nice and high. Here's that lovely crunchy topping. It's a bit like a Dutch apple pie topping. I've added a couple of extras to this. Some nice porridge oats and a few chopped nuts just to give that lovely crunchiness. You can see here that there's still quite a few lumps of butter in this mixture. So I've used the back of this wooden spoon to squash the lumps and make sure it's mixed in properly. Use your favourite nuts or anything you've got in the cupboard. I've used cashew nuts, but walnuts go really well. There's so much lovely filling in the middle of this apple pie that there's quite a dome on top, so adding the topping is a little bit tricky. I found putting my hand against the side and then squashing it onto the sides of the pie seemed to work quite well. Do make sure that every single piece of apple is covered with the topping. And for a final crunch, I couldn't resist topping it with just a little bit of demerara sugar. I often top a pie or a cake with demerara sugar before I put it in the oven. This type of sugar doesn't melt as easily, and when it comes out, it leaves a lovely finish. So there we go, a lovely twist on the traditional apple pie. And that lovely strudel flavour with brandy and cinnamon. All you need now is some cream and a quiet corner to eat it in. Well, that's it from me for this week. Have a good one. Take care, stay safe. Catch you next week.